I'd like to say that this thing goes way back. In the early days of the Depression, there were a lot of people in here. A lot of them were desperate people. They were actually farmers from the Midwest that needed cash, and they'd come here and work and live with the families in the valley. My grandpa Yeager, who used to live down here on the corner, kept people upstairs in his barn. There are many old packing sheds here that used to serve. In the top of the packing shed is a bunkhouse. And when the war was over, we had a lot of Army cots and Army paraphernalia that we could use. People lived in Army tents during harvest. There was a great big camp up here by the Cameo, across from the Cameo power plant. And it was kind of a bad area. Some of these people would come in, they'd rob each other, and there would be knife fights and everything. So conditions were pretty deplorable. And when we bought the McCoy place in about 1944, there was a modern bunkhouse there that Mr. McCoy had built. So we got a little bit ahead of that, and my parents were both very proud of the fact that we had a bunkhouse there that people could sleep comfortably in. And the way we ate is we hired a cook, and we all went down and ate together. We had Army trays that we ate out of. And so as time went on, these people began to do better because we're coming out of the Depression. So we started, we had German prisoners working during the war. And they lived in a camp right down here where the lagoons are right now. It was an old civilian conservation corps camp. And I remember that they would bring them out to the farm, and they'd rather pick peaches than be in the prison camp. And then we later had the Bracero program, where Mexican laborers came in and they worked under a legal agreement, and then that program went away after the war. There were some issues where the unions got involved and so on. So it was very hard to get labor, and every year we had to think, where will we get the labor the next year? And my mom and dad were both farsighted in that they thought way ahead and started to develop programs that would attract workers and make them feel at home and come back again and so on. And we, with the recognition of how hard it is sometimes to come up from Mexico and live here so many months away from your family and then go back and run a little farm in Mexico. And so I think that one of the great things that my mom would be so proud of is that this organization that she started, it's a great legacy. She was able to attract a lot of talented people, and apparently Mark was able to attract people like Tom, which I think is to your great credit. That's funny to me, because I watched Tom from the time he came here, and then Janet, and watched him grow and develop and become a fruit grower from being kind of a hippie. And then
Still a hippie.
yeah, they were counterculture people, and I could tell you some stories about them, but it's kind of an interesting side note that Tom's wife Janet came from an interesting family. Her daddy won the Nobel Prize for Physics a few years back. And Tom got flown off to eat with the King of Sweden, and later they flew him to Japan, and so on. So there's a lot of stories having to do with the migrant people and the people that are around. But Mom and her friends, Katie and Dorothy Power and all of them, were able to attract a lot of talent and a lot of people that cared. But the creation of the migrant services gave them a vehicle for focusing their concerns about the labor. And although I am not sure how much the grower community appreciated the work, I think the grower community became very reliant on the work. And as the years went on, the housing program that Christine was involved with and so on came out of this. So we had We had the ability to get affordable housing that was modern and HUD approved and all of that. We had the ability to have an ongoing organization. I think one of the greatest things in life is to start out with a cause that you believe in, and you're starting with practically nothing. You're starting when people don't believe in you much. And then to be vindicated by the fact that this cause succeeds. So I think this is a great legacy to my mother. Thank you.